This is Jackie from All Access, and I'm here with Jordan of the Ready Set here at Vans Warped Tour. This is the 20th anniversary of Warped Tour. What were you doing 20 years ago?
Being in preschool. I was in preschool.
Way back when. Fair enough. What was the first concert you ever attended?
I think this is the first one. I usually claim this is the first one because it was the first one I went to as a person who is actively into music, because I grew up listening to punk bands and stuff, so I wanted to come to this. But realistically, I think the first show that I actually went to was I remember going to see at the Coliseum in my town 98 Degrees and Baha Men, which I'm sure everyone recalls Who Let the Dogs Out. So I got to see it live, so I consider myself very lucky for that. So.
Fair enough. But what about the first gig you ever played?
The first time I ever played a show, I believe I was 13. That was when I started getting into music, kind of, and I was like, well, I want to start bands. I want to do that. So I was playing drums, and I put together this band. It was kind of like a cover band, and we played. I think we played at a church, but I got all the kids from my middle school to come, and it was awesome. And I was like, oh, this is great. I have to do this. So that kind of started this spark where all I wanted to do was just play music and play shows. So I pretty much was just booking shows and playing music, drums and hardcore bands and punk bands all throughout high school, and then ended up doing this. Weirdly enough.
Weirdly enough, right? I mean, sometimes you're allowed to change what you like. It's okay to be indecisive too. And so, do you prefer to play these outdoor gigs, or do you like the club gigs better?
They're both. I don't know. There's pros and cons of both of them. It's a whole different atmosphere in the sense of the way that a crowd reacts. I think outside is a lot different, and I think it's a lot more about putting on a really energetic show as opposed to inside, just because realistically, even if you sound really good live outside, it won't sound anywhere near as good as it does inside. So I think it's all about just having a good time on stage here and just bringing a lot of energy, whereas inside it's kind of a balance of you have to sound awesome and you have to have an awesome show too. So I don't know, they're both fun, but right now I'm in full out outdoor mode, so I'm trying to adapt as much as possible.
And while you're in the outdoor mode, what comes to mind when you look out to a bunch of phone screens?
I don't know, really. I actually don't mind it, just because when I see that, I'm always all right, well, when I get off stage, I'm going to check YouTube, and I'm going to see if we sucked or not, because I'll be able to tell. It's a bunch of people recording if I do a good job, so I like to go back through and spot check and be I could do that better. Every time I get off stage, I go on Instagram and check all the hashtags to see if there's videos or anything, just because I'm always really curious, because you can't really tell how good you sound, I guess, through the main speakers when you're on stage, because all we have is in-ears and stuff. So I actually don't mind it, but as long as people are reacting and singing along, I kind of take it as a endearing thing. If someone's got their phone out, they obviously like you enough to want to keep that forever. So it doesn't bug me too much.
It's really interesting that you use it sort of as a litmus test. I like that.
Most people seem to hate it, hate the phone thing, but I don't know. I think that's just the time we're in. It's just kind of what it is.
Speaking of that, Facebook ads seem to be a common way for bands to spread the word, but they are really expensive to get a decent reach. Do you use Facebook, or how do you prefer to spread the word?
I use Facebook a little bit. I don't really know much about that end of it. It's always just kind of been a thing that was there. Facebook was never been a big focus for me. I kind of spend a lot more time on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. A little bit of just that stuff, because I feel it's a little bit more direct. And the Facebook thing with music never really quite translated for me. I just feel it didn't have the power that MySpace had, for instance, for music. Whereas so I don't know, but I still have a really good active, I guess, Facebook fan base. There's a lot of people on it and stuff, but I'm kind of out of the loop with it. I'm always about I'm about the things I can easily access on my phone, and for some reason I'm I don't know why I can't figure out Facebook on my phone. That's probably my own fault.
It's just quicker. I think you take a picture, you post it, you write a sentence or two, and you post it. You're done.
Yeah, that's what I usually do. Is I'll connect everything to Facebook, so I'll just post it somewhere else, and it ends up there. So covering all the bases.
Very smart, very smart. The music industry is always changing, like you said, with technology and Facebook sort of being what it is. How do you measure success when album sales used to be sort of the pinnacle or the tell-all or the sales charts?
I don't really know. It's kind of tough. I try not to think too much about that. I think my mindset is always if I see people coming out to the shows and I see the attendance growing and all that, I feel like that's kind of like a good indicator of success. Whereas I guess album sales still are, like some people can still sell like 1 million albums easily, but it's just, I think it's all about the live thing right now. And I think that if you have a good fan base, that's probably a better, I don't know, a better indicator than just having like a song be on the radio for a minute, and like maybe you can sell like a ton of songs, but you know, it's just like the longevity thing might not be there. So the way I see it is like a band that can last, you know, more than just like a small amount of time is probably more successful than something that appears to be massive and then just goes away forever. So I think it's all about like the live thing. Like if you come here, you see like bands that people might not have ever heard of like in the mainstream, but are massive in this world, which is like, and they're obviously making like a living off of it and able to do what they want to do. So I think it's just different for everyone. Everyone's style of success kind of is all over the place. So.
A lot of kids out here have band tattoos. What was your reaction when someone showed you their first band tattoo of yours?
I get really, well, I think it's really cool and it's really, really flattering, but I feel almost like guilty because I feel like nothing that I don't see anything that I could write as valuable enough or like meaningful enough for somebody else to want to actually have that on them forever. So it's a really, really humbling thing. And it kind of makes me think a lot about like what I'm doing, just because it's I feel like when you're in a band or like you're an artist, you can affect people so much more than you even realize without, you know, even intending to. So it's really, really like an amazing thing. And I even saw one like yesterday. It's so cool. Like it's so much more frequent than I ever would have thought. Someone actually got, they got like my signature tattooed on their arm. I was like, that's, and it was like in a big, like thick marker. I was like, wow, that's really, really, a really dedicated thing to do. So I'm like eternally grateful that I have fans that would do something like that. It's so cool.
Wow. So is there a song on your most recent release that you want new fans to listen to because it's a really good representation of the Ready Set?
Yeah, there's actually two. The first song, which is a single, it's called Higher, and that one probably is, I feel like, the most accurate representation of what I want to do. And then also another one called Are We Happy Now? And I think maybe not just musically, but I think lyrically they're saying a lot more than some of the other songs I think people have heard by me. Like it's not so much like straightforward pop stuff. Like they're actually pretty, I guess, like important to me. They're just more about like just weird things in my head and stuff. So.
You're bringing back your roots. It's okay. So what's up next for you after Warp?
I'm going to do a headlining tour in the fall, so really excited about that. We haven't headlined in quite a while, so always doing support tours, so I'm really glad to be able to go and have like cool production and like be able to do things like exactly how I want again, so it'll be good.
Sounds like fun. So stay tuned for more from the Ready Set. This is Jackie with All Access and In the Key of Change.